Welcome to this webinar that I'm recording. I'm hoping that you will be able to hear and see this event that is taking place before your eyes. The idea behind this webinar is to raise awareness of how accessibility solutions within the workplace can be liberating and enabling for people with a wide range of needs. The thing that sparked this off, in a way, was this news article that you're seeing here regarding a Starbucks employee who has just won a dyslexia discrimination case. That was back in February. And she cites that if Starbucks had made some minor adjustments to a workplace setting, she would have been able to function. And she was accused of falsifying documents after mistakenly entering the wrong information, which would be a common problem for a dyslexic person. So from that point of view, it's really important that we understand how this whole business works. So there's the information that I'm talking about. So she took Starbucks to court about them making reasonable adjustments for her particular disability. And the fact of the matter is that she actually won that. So from that point of view, it really worked. And so she won a court case, and therefore the whole business of how we look at making the workplace accessible becomes an important issue. I then decided we should put on this webinar, and I put out a little notice on Consulting Hub. That's a group that I'm a member of, and this particular thing about it, let's undo that. This particular aspect that I was looking at here was making organizations comply to the 2010 Equality Act. And that requires a simple few things like reasonable adjustments in the workforce so that small changes can make a huge difference to disabled employees. But it isn't just the person with the disability that can make a huge impact on the workforce, because it affects both customers as well as the employees. In fact, it can be a powerful good for changing the workplace. And Barclays Bank is is a case in point. When they appointed a disability awareness officer, they looked at first of all their employees and designed a training program that would raise awareness across all employees of the needs of people with disabilities across the whole field. And of course, we would include those with equal opportunity issues, those from English as a second language issues, and ethnic diversity. And what happened was that this actually raised the awareness of those customers with visual needs, which then led to some reshaping of understanding of those needs to front desk workers within the branches. And out of that generated some innovative products like the voice output ATM. And it then developed into wearable technologies like wristbands. So essentially, those items became something that could be used by somebody with a visual impairment or a physical disability, if necessary, to have contactless wristbands to enable them to make payments without any need to be able to see the inputs. And of course, that comes with a raft of protections involved with it. So it does have an impact on an entire organization as well as the individuals within that organization. So what kind of tools can make a huge difference? Well, I was recently at a conference for dyslexia at the International British Dyslexic Association and came across a tool that is freely available from Microsoft, And this tool is called Learning Essentials. And Learning Essentials, I'll just go back down here and find OneNote, is actually an add-on to OneNote that can make a huge difference to the way that we can interact with our computers, and for those who need alternative means of inputting into a computer. So let me just go down to OneNote on my computer and call this up. If you go to onenote.com/learning tools, you will be able to find this download. And it will put in an additional toolbar to your OneNote. What does this toolbar do? Well, once we get OneNote up there, we'll be able to tell you that. So if you need to do business meetings or attend conferences or be able to keep all your information in one place, this is an organizational tool that can really be useful for those of you out there. And so we want to be able to reach that audience and to capitalize on the use of it. I realize I haven't actually downloaded the OneNote tools, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get them so that you yourself can do this. It's completely free and doesn't cost a penny. So let's walk the talk. So the website we're going to go to is http OneNote www.onenote.com/learning tools. Let's see if we got that right. Yep, learning tools. Sorry for the wait. What do these tools do? Well, essentially, there are two major ones that I would want to draw attention to. One is the actual text-to-speech option, which breaks down or makes it easier to read, have read to you text. So it's a text-to-speech tool. So any notes that you make, you can instantly check them back to make sure that they're actually what you wanted to use. OneNote has a facility to be able to write in lots of things. Here is OneNote, and you can write your notes in here, which I've just typed in. You can actually draw notes in as well, so you can add a little bit of a drawing pattern to it. And you can also enable, yep, here we go. I can just draw over across with my mouse. Eventually, yep. All kinds of different ways I can make that work. There's an eraser to get rid of it. And there's a way that you can add a new tab or a new section. Test area. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add another, basically another area up here, another tab called Learning Tools. I'm just going to pull that down for a minute. Here is the OneNote Learning Tools. And I'll just play a little bit of video so you get the idea of what this is. Obviously, you're not able to hear what's going on the video, but it's talking about the loss of instructional time by not having some tools that can enable dyslexic users to use this. So I'm just downloading the tools now. So in a few minutes, we will have them. But there are other tools that we can employ. There's speech recognition, which also inputs into the machine, enables students to read and write. There are online versions of this, which doesn't cost any money at all. Speech notes, for instance, is one such tool. So I just want to demonstrate speech notes to you. Speechnotes.co. There's no other HTTPS speechnotes.co. And I think because we're also doing lots of other things as well, our computer is moving a little bit slower than we would like it to today, because there's a lot going on. Close the windows down. Here, Learning Tools is getting delivered as we speak. Other things that we can change is actually adding tools that will enable word prediction. This could also make a small difference to the way that people perceive and are able to add writing to their work, especially if they're dyslexic and need a spelling issue resolved. So this little tool will sit and work alongside your other programs, whatever apps that you happen to be using. There we are. Let's come in. So, for instance, if I go to some notes on here, just pull this across. By the way, this is completely free. I can type. And you can see it's number 5 on the list. I can press that. Anything, number 5 on the list again. I like, number 1 on the list. Very simple tool, no cost to anybody, and it's a free download what you can use. So that would give some accuracy and show the true ability of those students who have dyslexia issues. So now just going to let the download go while I try and do some speech recognition. So this is a note that's actually just running from the internet, and I can basically be able to write in that area using my voice. So let's see how good this is. It hasn't had any training, but it's an online speech recognition tool. So I can write with my voice directly onto the page. Full stop. Period. As you can see, it can be quite useful. Of course, I would have to copy and paste this into my documents, which can be done by the button here, which copies to the clipboard. So again, we have a tool that can be used in lots of different ways. And again, here we go, we're learning the notes. So I'm doing this in real time so you can see how this works and how long it takes to enable this to happen. Also bearing in mind, I'm doing a live video webinar and I'm talking to you. So this is a whole range of options that I'm using here to get a result for you. What I'm finding is that a lot of companies are not really picking up on this issue. And so one night I was actually looking at this with my colleagues on Consulting Hub, right? They were saying very much that when they introduced disabled people and their technology, it actually impacted with a lot of creativity the team as they resolved the problems, and their disabled employees were very, very proactive and very enthusiastic for making things change within the culture of the architects area, was this was the work area that was taking place. And so it does impact the whole of an organization in a positive way, not a negative way. And so why is it that numerous companies are just not doing this or being interested in doing this? It seems a no-brainer that we could actually make a huge difference to the whole organization by just making some simple changes like the ones I've just showed you there. It's such a good thing to do. And so powerfully, we could manage information and make this something that we would really be very, very proud of. Just seeing if my OneNote things, yes, we've got some other information there. So I'd strongly advise you actually look into OneNote and see how you can make more use of it. It's a tool that has been underrepresented, I think, in the Microsoft family until now. What other types of accessibility do we need to consider? And different kinds of keyboards. There are certainly a lot of different sorts of keyboards out there, and I can demonstrate one or two for you. You can have on-screen keyboards. But Key Tools in Southampton produce a range of useful keyboards that you could have, and they are adapted to the physical needs of different disabilities such as muscular sclerosis and muscular dystrophy. So the assistive products that come here are very, very much inclusive. So we have dyslexia and assistive technology. So let's go into assistive technology on their website. I must say they've revamped it, so I'm not used to seeing what I've got down here. And there's a little bit of explanation of what categories of need they cover. Let's have a look at their products. So I am looking particularly at keyboards, but there's a whole range of other products that we could look at as well. So I just want to explain one or two things about the keyboards that we've got here. So we have big keys, these kinds of keyboards, which are very large and enable people with those kind of physical difficulties that require, they are struggling with actually reaching a particular key. Because it's larger and bigger, they can actually not have the tremor that affects the way they access the keyboards. So there we go. There are many different kinds of these tools, but essentially you can see that all the functions of the keyboard are there. Numbers, letters, it's a full-size QWERTY keyboard, and basically it allows students with those kinds of needs to actually take that on board and use it. Now, if some students have different kinds of spatial awareness needs, and their hand function doesn't go across the middle of the keyboard, then you can have different kinds of keyboards, right, that can split the key section. So let's see if we can go to some of these more customized keyboards that are around or even in existence. Key guards can make a huge difference as well over the top of the keyboard. Look, we've got one here where the key guard actually fits across the top of the keys, enabling the student to put their finger through the keyhole and make that a thing of great usefulness to them. In fact, that's just a normal keyboard, so not quite the one I was thinking of with the cover across the top. Many apologies for that. There are also air mouse keyboards that will allow you to pull things across that. There's keypads. There's keyboards with different kinds of layout and feel. There are wireless keyboards and USB keyboards. There's such a range of them, all designed to ergonomically work with the student. This also applies to mice. Now, if the common problem with many people is that they can't control a mouse because there's many operations involved in holding the mouse in the right place. So there are many different kinds of mice options that you can take on board. For instance, different shape mice for those with what we would consider more arthritic problems, then those particular key mice are suited to people who can basically have the mouse held in one position. There are trackballs and trackables, trackpads and trackables, which can make a difference because it sorts out the different functions of left click and right click. So all of these tools can make a huge difference to our client group. Let's go back now to OneNote, and I'm going to close it down and restart again because our program has loaded now. So what we should see is the OneNote program taking shape and accepting the learning tools that we're going to incorporate in there now. If you have any questions about what we've talked about, because I'm going to put this onto the internet, then please do get in touch with us at miles@aas123.com. We provide a service which can come in and share this knowledge with your workforce and encourage you to become more accessibility friendly to those with a range of needs. I would strongly advise that you consult an assistive technologist so that you can then begin to explore how you can change the dynamics of your organization. So here we are back in OneNote, and this is my test for the webinar on making the workplace. And notice again that my tool that came up I can use with OneNote as well. Eventually. That's better. There we are. Number one, accessible. Having problems spelling accessible. So what are the tools that I can use for this? Well, I can just straightforwardly type in, making use of typing assistance. This is a test that I want to use with the learning tools. Of course, I'm typing a little bit faster. Number 5 on my list. So I can just type fast and then put in the relevant word that I want to use. So now assume that that is a body of text. It could be something I've copied from the internet. and using some of the tools that you would have on a tablet PC, you can do that really easy now with the Edge. It's very cool. So let's go to the learning tools, and I'm just going to turn on the immersive reader. Here we are, and I can now have this read back to me very large. There is a way that I can analyze text. Let's just move that across. I can use it for comprehension, syllables, and nouns and verbs. So as an English tool, it could be very useful. I can also increase the text size if I want to, or spacing, which is really important for dyslexic users, because without that, things do get a little bit difficult for students to read. So having a text that's spaced better would help. So if I was connected up without the need of a microphone, you would be able to hear this read back to you. So I can assure you that that voice comes through loud and clear. So we have there a wonderful tool that we can use straight away, but the fun doesn't stop there. For instance, I'd like to use speech recognition to enable me to have more instant access. So we've got a dictation tool that allows us to actually input via a mouse. Okay, it wants me to sign into the account before I can use that. So I'm going to turn off my word prediction, because the thing it can't do is cope with numbers. Fortunately, you won't see my password. Okay, we've logged in now. Now I can use my voice and write with this. Well, it wasn't exactly what I said, but Cortana is linked to this tool, and that is what is translating what I'm saying into text. Select Lincoln's. As you can see, it's not completely accurate. Try again. As you can see, it's not completely accurate. But at least it's a step in the right direction. And if I was using this technology, I would recommend using a headset. All things considered, it's not a bad idea to try, as it's completely free. And after a while, it stops. So I thank you all for taking part in this webinar. And if you're watching this later on, then once again, it's goodbye from me, Miles Pilling, Accessibility Solutions Consultant, an assistive technologist, and hopefully see you again on the next webinar. Goodbye.